Hello guys, this is your friend, and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was trained by a Sith Kushina Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. I don't own Naruto or Star Wars. Uzumaki Kushina laid her head back against a pillow as the nurse cleaned the blood off her newborn son. Her husband Minato Namikaze was standing beside her bed holding her head and looking between her and their newborn, while crying because of what is about to happen. She looked at the doctor and said, "I understand, doctor. Could you leave us alone for a few minutes? I wish my final minutes to be private with my husband and son." The doctor said of course, as he quickly left to help with the wounded from the Kyuubi attack. The nurse handed the baby boy to her and left also, and Minato said, "It's not right, why is this happening?" as his heart was breaking. Kushina sighed, and said, "We knew it was a risk, Minato. My battles over the years of my life changed me, and now my body is finally giving out. I can feel it already. I wish we could stay together forever, but we both know that's impossible now. I have already accepted what must happen with our son." As she looked at the baby sadly, Minato said, "I love you, Kushina." Kushina smiled, and said, "Go ahead, honey, and get everything ready. I want to say something to our son alone before I go." Minato nods and leaves the room, and Kushina closed her eyes and vowed, "If you think I am leaving our son Naruto alone with this shit, Minato, you're fucked in the head. You never knew my true past before I came here. It's time I give our son a chance." As she placed Naruto on the palms of her head as she began to concentrate, she began to glow, and as her life left her, her body faded away into nothing as Naruto fell from where her hand was under him onto the bed, and he began to cry. Minato heard Naruto cry from outside the hall, and walked back into the room and went wide-eyed seeing his wife gone, and screamed "Nurse!" as he ran over to Naruto and picked him up. The nurse ran back in and gaped and said, "Where did she go? She couldn't have gone very far since she was nearly dead." As she ran to check the window, Minato got Kushina, "Where are you?" He heard a voice say in the wind, "Go, Minato. Do what you must. I have things taken care of. I love you, my love." He looked around and sighs and said, "Your mother was always mysterious, son. Well, I guess it's time to take care of this big bad demon." As he quickly left. When Kushina opened her eyes she found herself in a sewer, and thought, "What the hell, did it work?" As she began to look around, a deep voice said, "Who dares enter this place?" She looked around, and heard a soft voice say, "Who's there?" And she went toward the voice, and she finally found a large room with a cage in the middle of it, and a small blonde-haired boy with whiskers, and Kushina said as she looked at the cage, "Hello." The little boy turned and saw Kushina and stepped back and said in a scared voice, "Who are you?" Kushina frowned and said, "It's common courtesy to give your name first when you ask someone else's name." The little boy seemed to think it over and said, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Kushina's eyes went wide, and she fell to her knees and said, "I'm Kushina Uzumaki, and I am your mother." The little boy's eyes went wide and said, "Mommy," in a scared and hopeful voice. Kushina nods, and Naruto ran toward her and screamed, "Mommy," as he hugged her. Kushina held him as he cried out, "Mom," over and over again. Finally, after he calmed down, she looked at him and asked, "How old are you, Naruto?" Naruto looked confused and said, "I'm 4. Why don't you know that, Mommy?" Kushina sighed and said, "I've been gone for a long time, son. I thought I would have been with you sooner." As she held him, a deep voice said, "It's you. You're the one who was like my masters." Kushina looked at the cage and saw the shadowy figure of Kyobi appear and said, "What do you want, Kyobi? Haven't you caused enough trouble?" Naruto looked at his mom and then at what she called Kyobi and said, "Mom, who's the big kitty?" Kyobi sweat dripped and Kushina had to use all her years of training from bursting out laughing, and Kyobi said, "Watch you mouth, boy. I have you know I am one of the guardians of this world created by the ancients. I can destroy you if I choke Gugugji," as his eyes went wide as his throat was being crushed by something. Kushina turned her head to Kyobi and said, "First, never threaten my son again, Kyobi. If I had not been weakened from childbirth and also dying, I would have slaughtered you. Second, the ancients you spoke of just now, would they happen to be the same ancients who created the star map and the star forge? If you do not answer me, I will kill you now." As the force-crushing Kyobi neck ceased, Kyobi was breathing heavy, gasping for breath, looking at Kushina in fear and said, "Forgive me for not realizing you are one of the ancients, master." As Kyobi bowed, Naruto pulled at the hem of Kushina pants and said, "Mom, what are you talking about and where are we?" Kushina frowned and said, "Just a moment, son. I need to find something out, and then I will tell you everything. Now I am not one of the ancients." It's obvious that we are both talking about the same people though. Tell me, why do you believe that I was one of them? Kyobi said, "Your power, it's just like theirs was. It was why I came to this village in the first place. I felt what felt like my masters in pain, and I came to aid them. I destroyed the humans that got in my way. If you are not one of the ancients, how do you have their power?" Kushina was shocked, and she whispered, "It's all my fault, it all happened because of me." As she fell back down again, Naruto, seeing his mom shocked, said, "Mom, you're scaring me." Kushina blinked and looked at her son, and pulled him into a hug and said, "I am so sorry, son. It's all my fault. I never should have come here, and none of this would have happened." As she started to cry, Naruto, seeing his mom crying and heard her saying she should never have come, said in a pleading voice, "Mom, don't say that. Please don't leave me again. Please don't leave me to the bad people. Please, I will do anything you want, but please." As he cried, Kushina came out of her shock hearing her son's words, and she pulled him into a hug and said, "Shh, it's all right, son. The bad people won't get you. I am not leaving you, son." As she rocked him in her arms, Naruto, when he finally calmed down, she put her hand on his head and he fell asleep, and Kushina held him and finally looked at Kyobi and said, "You will answer my questions or I will destroy you. I am known as Kushina Uzumaki from Whirlpool Country to those of this world, but I am also known as Revan, former Lord of the Sith and Jedi Master. I will torture you and make you beg for your death if you do not answer me quickly, because I am losing my temper. Now tell me where exactly we are, what has happened while I was away, and what did my son mean when he said bad people?" Kyobi looked at her and felt his throat beginning to close again, said, "All right, I will answer, but what may I call you so I don't upset you?" Kushina said, "Call me Lord Revan. Now talk." Kyobi nods quickly and said, "We are currently in his mind. This world is a link between where I am actually sealed and his mind, so I can hear him should he require my power. As for what has happened to him, I am not for sure, but I do know that his body has had to draw on my power several times when he has been in pain. I can't see what's going on outside of him, and this is the first time he ever actually appeared here, Lord Revan." Kushina frowned and said, "Tell me about the ancients, and what exactly are you?" Kyobi said, "As I said before, I am one of the guardians of this world. When the ancients were here before this world was plagued by massive natural disasters, so the ancients created me and the other Bajas to go around the planet stopping the disasters, and over all the millenniums they stopped and the other Bajas, and I have been waiting for the ancients to return, and if anything threatened the planet of our masters, then we have protected it by destroying whatever was threatening the planet. Kushina said, what exactly are you? Kyuubi said, I am an organic, self-sustaining guardian of the planet. Kushina closed her eyes and thought, great, he's just like those damn droids back when I was looking for the star map. And said, what effect will you being in my son cause on him? Kyuubi was quite a few moments, and said, my body that was sealed in him is designed to adapt and sustain myself to ensure my survival. When I was first sealed into him, my body began to alter his body to make it self-sustaining as it originally was. Kushina blinked, and said, to what end? Kyuubi said indefinitely. Kushina went wide-eyed and looked at her son, and said, so you're saying that his body is immortal now? Kyuubi was quite a moment and said, no, what I am saying is that his body will repair all damage and maintain top performance. However, it is possible to kill him by either removing his secondary power source, in other words me, or by severe bodily destruction beyond its healing capabilities. Kushina asked, is there any way you can free yourself? Kyuubi said, no. I am designed to adapt to changes and cannot break free unless it is directly ordered by my masters or in the interest of my orders. Kushina said, very well, from this moment forward I am your new master. You will follow my orders, and my first order is to never risk the life of my son. Should you fail, there won't be enough of you left to repair yourself. I will call you should I need you. Now go. Kyuubi faded away, as did his cell, and Kushina sighed, and said, now let's see if I can find his memories. As she began walking toward the tunnels. When Naruto opened his eyes, he heard the sound of destruction, and he looked around and saw his mother beating the hell out of what appeared to be villagers, but she was not just beating them. She was literally blowing their limbs off and tearing their head off and shoving them down their throats. Naruto was scared and said quietly, Mom. Kushina was panting and she turned her eyes toward Naruto, and he flinched and she closed her eyes and slowed her breathing and said, sorry about that. How do you feel, son? As she waved her hand and all the people disappeared. Naruto looked around and said, all right, I guess. What happened? Kushina wrapped him in a hug and said, I am so sorry, son. I never wanted any of that to happen to you. Neither did your father. Naruto looked at her and asked, who's my father? Kushina bit her lip and said, tell you what. Let me tell you a little story and then I will tell you about your father, okay? Naruto nodded and Kushina said, the story begins a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. As she began to explain about Judas, the Mandalorian War, her leading Jedi to battle and then becoming a Sith to prepare the Republic. After that she said, after the Star Fort was destroyed, I left the Republic again because I had found proof that another enemy was waiting for the time to strike. I wound up in a battle with them in space and escaped on a wild jump to light speed, and I crashed on this planet in the ocean. I don't know how long I floated in the ocean, but eventually I was picked up by a boat, and they gave me food and water and saved my life. When I reached land again, I had acted like I had no memories, and then I was attacked by a ninja with a whirlpool hayate on his head. I defended myself and killed him and took his hayate as well as cloths and other things to survive. I found that he was actually on his way here to Konoha to request aid for his country and thought I was a thief or enemy ninja trying to stop his request. I decided to repay him by continuing his mission, but by the time I got here word had spread how Whirlpool had actually been destroyed already, so the Yondaime allowed me to stay here as a refugee. I hid my past as a Jedi and Sith, and from being from another galaxy he let me join as a ninja of here, but since I couldn't use ninjutsu I told him I had a condition preventing me from using chakra thanks to an attack. He accepted me, and that's how I officially joined Konoha. Naruto was wide-eyed and shocked, and said that is so cool. Kushina smiled and Naruto said, so what's dad like? I mean, is he a Jedi also, or one of those Mandalorian guys? Huh? Is he a Wookiee? Those guys sound awesome. As he ranted on and on. Kushina sweat-dripped and thought there were times I would rather kiss a Wookiee than your father, especially after I found out about his sensei books, but no, not this woman. Never kissed a Wookiee. Kushina saw Naruto's eyes glossed over with excitement and said, whoa, slow down. I think you're about to have a head explosion if you don't stop. Now as for your father Naruto, he was a kind and brave man. He went out of his way to protect those that were precious to him, and he was a great warrior and leader. In fact, I am sure you know of him. Naruto said, really, who is he? Excited. Kushina's eyes glossed over a moment, and said, you remember seeing Kyuubi Naruto? Naruto nods and Kushina said the Kyuubi was not killed like you were told. He was too powerful so the Yondaime could not kill him, so he sealed the Kyuubi into his newborn son. Naruto looked at her and then asked, but then why did I see the Kyuubi in my head? Kushina said, because the newborn was you. Naruto got a moment and his eyes went wide, and said my father was the Yondaime. Kushina nods and Naruto asked, Mom, where have you been all these years? Kushina said, after I gave birth to you my body began to give out, so I used a special power I learned in the Force to bind myself to you, so when I die, I would still be with you, and I thought it would be instant, but it did not happen until today. Naruto nods and said, this is a lot to take in, Mom, but I am happy you're back. I don't understand a lot of this though, so it must not be a dream. As he looked around, Kushina slapped her head and said, of course it don't make sense. You're still a little boy, but son, you can't tell anyone about anything you saw or heard today. I don't want people hurting you anymore, so you got to listen to me, okay? Naruto said, okay, Mom. Smiling, wanting to make his mom happy. Kushina said, good. Now I figured out how to make it where you can hear me and for me to be able to see what you do, so when you wake up I can help you get stronger. I am going to train you in the Force, and also in a few things from your father. When you wake up tomorrow, I want you to follow my directions, okay? I will take care of everything. Naruto said, okay, Mom, believe it. Kushina frowned and thought, kids got a photographic memory and can understand better than he lets on, but he acts like his father, an idiot. May the Force help me. As she hugged her son and said, it's time for you to wake up, son. Naruto asked how. Kushina said, just think about yourself waking up, that should work. Naruto nods and closed his eyes, and he faded away. As he did, Kushina's smile slipped, and she said, Konoha, prepare yourself, because I will deliver upon you your salvation and destruction. I will train my son to be a Jedi to his allies and a Sith to his enemies, and pray I never figure out how to get out of here, because if I do, I will make Malachor look like a picnic. As she waved her hand and the white room she was in changed to a full battle command room from the Republic. When Naruto opened his eyes he found himself in a hospital room, and he got what happened. A voice in his head said, you were attacked, son, and you're in the hospital. Naruto said, Mom, that you? Kushina, who had a radio on her hand sitting in her command center in his mind, said, yes, son. Now listen. I want you to get dressed and leave the hospital as quick as you can and head toward the Hokage monument. I saw in your memories where you go there from time to time. When you get there, I will tell you where to go." Naruto looked at his arm, and saw he had an IV in it, and he pulled the tape off and removed the IV, and then he got out of bed and shivered as his feet touched the ground. He saw his cloths had been folded over a chair in the corner, so he took off the hospital gown, and saw bandages all over him, and he slipped his cloths on over them. Naruto frowned as he saw all the holes in them, and he walked toward the door and looked outside the room and saw the stairs across the hall with the word exit on a sign above it, and he bolted for the door and found himself in a stairwell, and he started going down the stairs. When he reached the bottom stairs, he heard the voice of the Hokage, and he listened in and heard, "So when will he awaken, doctor?" Another voice said, "He should be up any time, sir. If you follow me, we can check on him." Naruto heard the sound of footsteps coming toward the door, and he heard a voice say, "Hide behind the door, son, and wait until the door is about to close and run out of the door. I don't want to explain things to the Hokage right now." Naruto nods and hides behind the door as it opened, and he saw a man in a white coat began climbing the stairs, and then the Hokage began to climb the stairs, and when the door was over halfway closed, he ran around the door, and the third who had just reached the top of the stairs, and he glanced down, seeing a foot right before the door closed, and thought as he heard the door click shut, "Who was that?" as he began walking up the next flight of stairs. Naruto, when he got outside, began to run, ignoring the looks he was receiving as he headed for the Hokage monument. But someone in his head did not, and she was clenching her fist as blood dripped from her hand. The third, when he reached Naruto's room, he saw the bed was empty and the doctor was shocked and looking around frantically, and the third quickly used Shushin to head toward his office. He called Anbu and said, "I want you all to start searching for Naruto. He disappeared from his hospital room, and he may have been taken because he was not fully healed from his latest attack. Now go." As he saw them leave, he frowned and went to where he kept his crystal ball and began searching for Naruto. Naruto made it to the top of the Hokage monument and thought, "What now, Mom?" Kushina said, "You see that tree over there with a hole that looks like a circle in it over there by that second path? Take that path until the very end." Naruto nods and starts going down the path, and soon he found himself back near the village itself, but near the clan district, and he got, "Where are we, Mom?" Kushina said, "You see that gate there on the left, Naruto, with the waves on it? It's the home your father and I built together. Go on inside the gate." Naruto walked to the gate and it opened for him, and he got cool. Kushina smiled as she waved her hand, and the gate closed, and then a latch on the gate began to spin, and then the entire house and yard glowed for a moment. Kushina smiled and thought, "So I can still use the force, but it's harder now and tiring." She then frowned as she looked at her hand and saw it fade a little and then slowly come back, and thought, "I must not overpower myself, or I will disappear." Naruto saw the gate closed and thought, "What now, Mom?" Kushina said, "Now, we begin your training, son. We will begin with your body, and while you sleep I will train your mind. I plan to make you the most powerful person on this planet." Naruto smiled and said, "Really, why, Mom?" Kushina said, "So that way you won't ever be hurt again." Naruto got, "Mom, not that I am complaining, but can I become the most powerful in the universe, like you were?" Kushina smiled and said, "Yes, son, you can." Naruto got, "Good. I want to make you proud." Kushina let a tear fall and thought, "You already have, son." Meanwhile, in the Hokage office, an Anbu in a dog mask appeared, and the third said, "Report Inu." Inu said, "I found him, sir." The third said, "Good. Where is he?" As he stood up to grab his hat, Inu said the Namikaze house. The third froze, and he looked at Inu, and asked, "Are you sure?" Inu nodded, and the third said, "Let's go find out why he's there, shall we?" As both left quickly. When they arrived they saw Naruto inside the gates and he was carrying a small rock about a foot wide on his back in a fishnet as he walked from one side of the wall to the other side. The third reached for the gate and tried to open it and frowned as it would not budge, and Inu went to jump over the wall but a shield appeared and pushed him back and both frowned, and the third said, "Naruto." Getting his attention. Naruto turned when he heard his name called, and got, "What now, Mom?" Kushina said, "Go over and repeat what I say no matter what, okay? I will handle this." Naruto walked over, and said, "Hello, Sandime." The third frowned and said, "Naruto, what are you doing here, and why so formal?" Naruto said, "You wouldn't happen to know who my parents are, would you, Hokage-sama?" The third frowned and said, "No, Naruto, I already told you I didn't. Why are you here?" Naruto smiled, and said, "Who's Kushina Uzumaki?" Making the third flinch as well as Inu. The third said, "I don't know." "Why?" Naruto frowned, and said, "What about Minato Namikaze?" The third flinched again, and said, "That was the Yondaime name. Why?" Naruto nodded, and said, "What about Kyuubi no Kitsune?" At this both men flinched, and the third said, "I think we should talk in my office, Naruto." Naruto said, "You know, I don't like being lied to. You never found my mother's body that day, did you? See you around, Hokage-sama." As he turned and walked toward the house. The third said, "Wait, Naruto." Naruto stopped and said, "Why?" The third said, "Perhaps we could talk about this at my office." Naruto said, "I was told to give you a message, and I quote, Minato placed the seals on this grounds for me and our son because he feared his enemies coming for his family. No one can get him besides our family unless we want them to. We both built this house, and I know our son was not supposed to get it until he become a chunin, but he was also supposed to be seen as a hero. Why listen to Minato request about what will make his life easier, Hokage-sama, when the rest of the village ignores my husband's last wish?" As Naruto turned and walked into the house. The third frowned, and Inu said, "Could Kushina-sama really be alive?" The third said, "Yes, she's the only person who would know where the seals are besides maybe Drea. Somehow she survived, and now she's got her son, and there's nothing we can do about it." As he frowned and looked at the house. Inu said, "Then what shall we do?" The third said, "For now, nothing. It's her choice on what to do." As both began to leave. As they left, Naruto went back out and began working on carrying the stone back and forward across the yard, and thought, "What was that for, Mom? You made it sound like you were alive, and I got you wanted to keep it a secret." Kushina said, "No, son, I made them think I could be alive. I could have also written a scroll, and gave it to someone I trust to give to you, or any number of things. I just gave them enough doubt about it to make the third sweat." Naruto got, "I don't get it." Kushina said, "Don't worry, son, you will. Now concentrate on your task." Time skip 3 weeks later. Naruto still had not left his family home. His parents had sealed a lot of food and scrolls as well as other supplies, and he was now outside running laps around the yard dragging 2 stones that weighed around 50 pounds each, and he stops finally and asks, "What now, Mom?" Kushina said, "Now, son, that you have destroyed all the grass from the top of the yard, I want you to go to the shed in the backyard and get the shovel and come back out here and begin digging." Naruto got, "Dig where, Mom, and why?" Kushina said a little known fact about this section of Konoha, which is why all the clans have their homes in this section, is because there is granite bedrock just under the surface about 3 feet deep, making it impossible to use large earth jutsu here. I want you to get to those rocks by digging an area around 50 feet wide. Place the dirt from it over near the right corner for later use. Naruto got why, Mom. What do we need to get the bedrock? Kushina smiled and said, you will see. Now get to work. Naruto sighed and went to get the shovel, and came back and began digging. As he was digging, Hyakuya was walking by the gate entrance, and he heard the noise, and he looked and saw Naruto digging, and he said, what are you doing? Naruto blinked and looked up and stabbed the shovel in the ground and walked to the gate and heard his mother, and said, hello Hyakuya-sama. How are you this day? Hi, she asked, do I know you, boy? As he looked at him and knew he was the Jinchuuriki of Kyubi. Naruto said, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. As he bowed, Hiashi's eyes got wide and went to open the gate, and it would not move, and Naruto said, my father's work. One of his 3 best seals, if you ask me, next to his Hirashin and mine. Nobody but blood relations can get in once it's activated. Hiashi stopped trying the gate and looked at Naruto, and said, what proof do you have that you are really the son of Minato Namikaze? Naruto snorts and said, come on, take the whiskers from the fox away, and you have a perfect picture copy of him. He would not ask someone else to give up their child when he would not give up his own. He was too noble. Need any more proof? Demand the Hokage tell you the truth, unless he wants to lie to you also. Hiashi looked at Naruto, and asked, why should I believe you? Trying to judge Naruto. Naruto said, you don't have to. Good day Hyakuya-sama, as he turned and went back to digging. Hiashi watched him for several minutes and frowned before leaving. After he was gone, Naruto got, so why did you have me do that, Mom? Kushina said, I have my reasons, now get back to work. Time skipped 2 weeks later. Naruto sighed as he looked at the stone that he had cleared out, and then at the 40-foot-tall high hill of dirt, and thought, okay Mom, what's my next task? Kushina said, go back in the house into the library and find a scroll with the word construction on it. When you find it, bring it out here and I will tell you what's next. Naruto quickly went into the house, and thanks to the lessons on reading he learned from his mother, he found the scroll. Going back outside, Kushina said, okay son, now I want you to lay it on the ground and put some blood on the seal, and run away from it to the house. Okay. Naruto did, and once he was on the porch of the house he saw smoke coming from the scroll, and out popped several material and equipment, and Naruto got, what's that, Mom? Kushina said, it's the equipment and leftover supplies your father and I used to make the house. I want you to go and start taking those pieces of granite that we uncovered and put it in that circle machine. It will start grinding it into a powder that we will use for our construction called cement. Naruto nods, began following his mother's instruction, and after he got it full he asked, what now? Kushina said, don't worry about it. It will finish in a couple of hours. What I want you to do is go and get those square-looking blocks of metal over there and bring them by the grinder. After that I want you to go and get that red string and those wooden stakes and put the stakes where I tell you and tie the red string between them. This will act as a guide to show you where we are going to build what I want you to build. You will find out later what it is. Naruto nods, and as he began doing what he was told, Kushina got, good job son. These may seem like hard tasks to do and you don't understand why, but as you build what I want, you are making your body stronger by weight training, moving the rocks, endurance by working from sunup to sundown, digging makes your arms stronger for weapon use, and several as many other things. I am proud of you, son. Kushina instructed Naruto, and once he got the area mark, she said, "Good son. Now for your last task of the day. I want you to go and get 3 buckets of water from the stream and put it in the grinder after stopping it, and then start it back up. Wait about 5 minutes and start pouring the cement into those square blocks. Once that's done, let them sit overnight and get you something to eat and a bath before going to sleep." Naruto nods, and after following orders for the day, he was inside his mind, and Kushina appeared before her son and said, "Good job today, son. Now I want you to practice feeling the force around you while I explain how to." When Naruto got ready the next day, he went outside and got, "What now, mother?" Kushina said, "Go refill the grinder with more granite and let it start grinding. After you finish that, I want you to go and take the bricks out of those square molds and start placing them in a stack. Once the grinder gets done grinding the granite, I want you to get the water and mix into it like before, but this time fill 1 bucket with the granite after you fill the molds for tomorrow's work. After that, take the bucket and start placing the bricks side by side, and wherever the bricks meet the next brick, put the granite from the bucket in between them and push them tightly together, and then smooth whatever comes out from squeezing them together, so when it dries it will make a solid wall. Do this until you run out of bricks, and then I want you to run 20 laps around the yard. Remember to eat your lunch and supper, and then take a bath before bed, and we will train again in your sleep. This will be the schedule for you until we get it built. I will add more laps each week by 5. Now get started." Naruto nods and begins for the day, and thought, "How long should this take to build, mom?" Kushina said, "Most likely a year." Naruto began his task and his training for the next year. Whenever anyone would come, he would politely tell them who he was, and then to ask the Hokage. When the Hokage came by, he would politely say that he was just trying his best to make his parents happy and would listen to his mother, and he would not get more than few words before Naruto went back to work. He would not say anything else, and no matter what anyone did, they never could get inside. And if they were villagers coming to harass him, he ignored them as he continued his work. Often Kushina would sing to him to drown them out. Naruto sighed as he stepped outside the temple and got finally done. "I moved everything from the house inside the temple. I can't believe how big it is though. How many people could live here, mom?" Kushina smiled and said, "If you count what's underground, I would say around 200. Naruto blinked and went wide-eyed and asked, "What do you mean underground?" Kushina smiled and said, "There is more that was built underground by your father and I. It was originally supposed to be an emergency shelter for the village, but we never got to finish it. It goes around 200 feet down underground and has around 150 rooms. We were able to do it thanks to jutsu from your father and me using the force over 3 years. There are seals that bring fresh air into the temple from what your father called Toad Mountain, but I don't know where that is. He also made seals that took care of water and sewer so people could actually live down there also, and I used something I made to provide the light down there, but you will find out what that is soon, son. You have actually built this temple on top of it, so if no one were to actually know, they would think you built them." Naruto nodded and thought, "So now that we got this done, what should I do now, mom?" Kushina said, "Now it's time to go see the Hokage. Your food supplies are nearly empty. You are nearly 6 years old, and we need some stuff from him. I want you to get a blank scroll and write down a list of what I tell you." Naruto frowned and nods, and after he wrote the scroll he walked up to the gate that he opened, and he began to walk toward the Hokage Tower. On the way he ignored the looks people were giving him with a small smile, and he finally made it to the Hokage Tower, and he saw the third secretary, and he said, "I would like to see the Hokage." She looked at him, and narrowed her eyes, and said, "Get out of here, demon." Naruto eyes flashed a moment trying to stay calm, and he waved his hand and said, "You will let me see him." The woman got up and motioned to the door and said, "You can see him." And Naruto walked to the Hokage door, and he opened it up, and he saw the third look up from his paperwork, and he quickly got up and walked over to Naruto and said, "Hello, Naruto. Come see me." As he stood in front of Naruto, Naruto walked around him and sat down after he closed the door and said, "I came to ask you if I can have my family money. I am nearly out of food and I need some supplies as well as other things. This is what I need." As he held out a scroll, the third looked at Naruto and took the scroll and said, "Well, Naruto, I don't know why you keep talking about your family. I mean, I have no proof to back you claim. In fact, I don't want you to go back to that house again." Naruto narrowed his eyes and said, "I guess you're no better than the villagers. Here I come trying to and be a part of this village that never wanted me, and you keep lying to my face. We both know you're lying, and I can only think of one reason why. Here I got you cared for me, but it's obvious you don't. You only care about keeping Iwa from coming to attack Konoha to get me. I am returning to my home." The third said, "No, you're not. Anbu." And 4 Anbu appeared. Naruto looked at them and then spun as he held out his hand, and all 4 went flying into the walls hard enough to make the wall crack, and Naruto walked out of the room. The third was wide-eyed, and he quickly checked on each of the Anbu and saw they were hurt but not dead. He went out and said to his secretary, "Get a medic to take the Anbu to the hospital." As he ran by her and went after Naruto. By the time the third caught up to Naruto, he was nearly back home, and the third said, "Wait, Naruto." As he landed in front of him, Naruto said, "What do you want? Not only do you not care for me, you try to arrest me like a criminal. Do you enjoy making me suffer? Is that why you protected me as an infant? How many times was I placed in the kind, caring hands of my own assassin? How much more do I have to give to make you happy?" Naruto reached into his pocket and pulled out a kunai and stabbed it in his hand and said, "How much more of my blood do you want? You didn't even look at what I wanted as supplies. You just figure since I left my home, why not treat him as a criminal? What were you going to do next? Start another holiday and tie me to your tower, and have another festival to beat me? Good day." As he went to walk around him, the third moved in front of Naruto, who said, "Look, my patience is at an end. Leave me alone." As he went to walk around him again, the third said, "Stop, Naruto. I want to talk to you." Naruto said, "I tried that. You ordered Anbu. Why should I give you a chance to lie to my face again?" As he jumped over the third. As Naruto landed, the third quickly moved in front of Naruto, and Naruto said, "Why do you torment me?" As he crossed his arms, the third watched and waited a moment to make sure Naruto would not leave, and he said, "Fine, you answer some questions for me and I will answer some myself." Naruto frowned and thought, "What do you think, Mom?" Kushina said, "Don't look at me. I am still shocked you pushed those 4 Anbu into the walls back there." Naruto said, "Fine, you won't answer, then this is what you do." come alone in 3 days with everything on my list. I will invite you and you alone inside my home. We will talk there. I am not saying I will answer everything because I have my secret, but I will answer some. Agreed. The third frowned and said, how can I trust you will keep your word? Naruto said, unlike you, I have never lied to you. I honor my word. The third flinched and said, fine. I will see you in 3 days. As he stepped aside, Naruto walked past him, and the third got, what has happened to you, Naruto? When Naruto got back to his place, he closed the gate and walked into his temple, and got, what should I do now? Kushina said, it's okay, son. We need those things, and if we have to tell him some things, then it will be alright. Naruto got, you mean we are going to tell him about the force? Kushina said, of course not. He does not need to know. I will think on this and make it all right, son. Now why don't you meditate while I think on this? Naruto nods and walks toward his room and opened the door and went in and shut the door before going to his meditation mat that belonged to his mother and sat down on it. 3 days later, the third arrived at the gates to Naruto property and got, as he looked at the temple, you have been very busy, Naruto, but why did you build that? As he looked at it, Naruto walked out and toward the gate, and he stopped and asked, did you bring everything? The third said, yes, but why do you need those books on basic chakra and control? Don't you already know how to use chakra in those wind jutsu you used on my Anbu? Naruto said, just because I can use it does not mean I know the right way to use it. The third said, very well, may I come in? Naruto looked around and said, as soon as the person with you leaves. The third sighed and said, Kakashi, come on out. A person appears next to the Hokage, and Naruto said, so your dad's student? Both Kakashi and the third flinched at this, and Kakashi asked, how do you know me? Naruto looked around and said, all right, you both can come in. As the gate opened, and he turned and stepped aside as both men looked at each other and walked inside. After they were in, the gates closed behind them. Kakashi asked, how did you do that? Naruto said, wasn't me. The gates do that automatically. I may live here, but I don't know everything Mom and Dad did to this place. As he walked toward the temple, the third asked, why did you build this, Naruto? Naruto said, it's a Jedi temple. My ancestors on my mother's side lived in these. As he walked up the steps and went inside. As both men walked in behind him, they were surprised by seeing 2 statues, one on each side of the door, and both men could tell one was Kushina, and Kakashi asked, who are those people, Naruto? Naruto stopped and said, the one on the right is my mother Kushina. The one on the left is Darth Revan. Both men looked at him, and the third asked, who is Darth Revan, Naruto? Naruto smiled and said, sorry. That's something you don't need to know. All you need to know is Revan was a powerful person. Kakashi said, you said was. Does that mean he's dead? Naruto said, Revan is the same as my mother. That's all you need to know. Now please follow me to the main hall so we may speak. As he walked in past the 2 stone doors that were opened and allowed all 3 to walk in no problem. As they walked in, they saw a set of stairs leading down around 20 feet, and the ceiling was level across the entire floor, and then a main lobby-like area that was down the stairs was around size of a football field, and 2 set of stairs running along the other end of the room that went into the ceiling, telling them there was another floor above them, and there was a waterfall going into a fountain, and there was a table set in the lobby, and both men were shocked by the work, and the third said, who helped you do all this, Naruto? Naruto said, I did it all by following my mother's instructions. Kakashi asked, where is Kushina? Naruto said somewhere. That is one of the things I am not allowed to answer. She told me the only reason she's even alive now was because of something she did. She won't tell me what, but she here for me, but she won't show herself to anyone else. What did she call it? I think she called it a kinjutsu. Both men frowned at this, and the third said, so what exactly is this Jedi temple? I mean, it looks like it was made for a lot of people. Naruto's smile slipped a little and said it was. Mom and Dad built everything that's below ground. Both men's eyes went wide-eyed at this, and the third said, wait, what do you mean below ground? Naruto said this was a project they started. It originally was going to be like an evacuation center for villagers, but after the way the people have treated me, Mother and I decided it would be better to be something from our people, so she gave me the details for this place. Kakashi asked, when you say your people, what do you mean? Naruto said my mother's family were originally like samurais. They believed in a more honorable belief, and had their own fighting style. They were close to becoming a clan when her village was destroyed. My mother believes that their knowledge will be lost forever soon. That's why she is teaching it to me, so I may ensure it survives. Sadly. The third sighed and asked, what exactly is it your mother, and you want Naruto? Naruto said, for now I want to train, and get stronger, while not having to live with hate. That is why all I asked for was stuff that anyone could have, and none of the books I asked for would be different than Academy students for a ninja, which I want to become later, but I know if I don't study ahead of time I will be dead last because nobody in this damn town will want to teach me. Saying the last part bitterly. Both men flinched and the third said, Naruto, I am sure it's not. Naruto glared at him and said, not that bad. How many times have I been attacked? Why is it the first time I meet my mother I am barely holding on to life? Why is it that I ask for simply what I am owed? I have ambushed on me. It's because nobody in this village would care if I was dead. Only reason he is here is because he feels he owes Dad, and the only reason you're here is to try and talk me into causing you less headaches and go back to being tortured by the village while you say you're protecting me. What protection? The only thing I see is suffering. Did you know that this year here has been the best of my life because I actually had a birthday without being sent to the hospital? I bet your little party was ruined this year because villagers couldn't get in here to attack me. Kakashi said, you're dishonoring your father's memory thinking like that. Naruto said, really, prove it. Kakashi said, your father sacrificed his life to protect this village because he loved it. Naruto said, just like Obito, huh? But at least you tried to honor his wish. This village has never tried to honor my father's. Kakashi was taken back by this and he closed his mouth, and the third said, Naruto, please calm down. I admit things have not went the way we would have wanted, but you have to understand that. Naruto cut him off and said, that what? That people hurt. I understand that, but it's been 6 years. 6 years. Why is it when I asked to see you in your office your own secretary told me to get out of here, demon? I had to trick her to let me see you. Now tell me, what should I understand about that? That no matter if I was not even around, people are going to hate me for being a sacrifice. That my father gave his life to protect a village that would piss on his son's grave while laughing about it. That I can't even be allowed a good night's sleep without having nightmares from being attacked. Name one thing I have ever done to this village to deserve anything. You want to preach to me, walk around this village in a henge of me all day and look at the people and listen to them. Watch as they pull their children away like I am going to eat them. Watch as they throw rocks at me, curse me, and downright attack me. Try walking into a store and buy just a loaf of bread and see how much you can tell me it will get better after that. Now if you don't mind, I would like the things I asked for, and for both of you to leave. You can deny it all you want, but I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. I will never deny my heritage. I will honor my family memory my own way. I will become a ninja like my father, and if Konoha doesn't want me, then I will find some place that does. I am sure anybody would want the son of the Yondaime who has the secret to the Hiraishin and Rasengan in his possession. I may not be able to use them yet, but someday I will. I will make my father proud, and I will become a legacy of both my parents. Both men were shocked, and the third said, I want those scrolls, Naruto. Naruto said, and I want to walk down the street without feeling like I am going to be killed by my hometown. Guess neither of us are getting what we want, huh? I showed you already I can defend myself when needed, and that is nothing compared to what I can do, and I am only an apprentice right now. Wait until I become a master at my mother's style. Now please go. The third said, wait, one more question please. As he held his hands up in a surrender motion with a scroll in it. Naruto frowned and looked at him and held out his hand, and the third handed it to him, and Naruto took a calming breath and closed his eyes a moment and said, I am sorry for my attitude, but I do not like being lied to and act like I don't know what is going on. My mother calls me a prodigy because I have a photographic memory and remember everything. I am sorry for what I said to you, Kakashi, and I know you are doing better than the rest of this village in trying to help, and I know my words about your teammate hurt. Mom told me about your motto about those who follow the rules, and I agree, but I feel like I am on the other side of the coin. If this village is my teammates, they have abandoned me. I only have about 5 happy memories before I met my mother. I will tell you both this. I want revenge for my past, but I will accomplish it by reaching my goal. The third asked, which is? Naruto said, I want to prove to everyone that I am me, not Kyuubi. If I have to become a hero even greater than all the cages combined, I will. I will become a champion of justice and an executor to darkness. Now may the force be with you. As he turned and started to walk away. The third said, wait, what about my question? Naruto said, you asked it when you said which is. The third sweat dripped and Kakashi had to snort at that, and Naruto said, ask one more. The third asked, would you be willing to become a ninja of this village? Naruto said, yes, as long as this village does not try to destroy me, I will protect it. I will not be joining the academy until later though, because I wish to learn as much as I can from my mother while I can, so I can pass it on to my children. I have one more goal, but it's a secret. Kakashi got, he's so much like you, sensei, it's scary. The third said, then when do you wish to join? Naruto said, I don't know. I will come see you when I am ready. If you would not mind, just come every year a week before my birthday, and I will give you a list of what I need, and on my birthday bring it here so it will be like a birthday present. Luckily food does not spoil in sealing scrolls. Both men frowned and Kakashi said, you're not leaving this place until you're ready. Naruto said, no. Perhaps a few more years without me and people will forget me and I can have a better life. Both men sighed and began walking away, and Naruto closed the gates after they left and then walked into the temple, and he moved his hands and the doors closed, and he got, how was that, Mom? Did I do good? Kushina smiled and said, great son, you put perfect emotions in everything to make it seem real. Neither of them will ever realize it was all an act. Naruto got I'm glad mom, so what now? Kushina said now put everything away and tomorrow we up your training. Naruto said good mom someday those fools shall bow at my feet. Time skip 5 years later. Naruto had changed over the 5 years under his training from his mother. No longer was he a loud-mouthed idiot but a trained fighter. He was now 11 years old. His body was now toned with no baby fat on his body. He did not have bulky muscles though because his body was like a track runner. He stood now as 5'6" and weighed around 115 pounds. His family land no longer had the house his parents built. He had taken it apart and to be used inside of his temple. The temple truly had changed as well from a simple 3-story temple to one that had 6 towers connected to the underground chambers instead of the usual 4 a Jedi temple had, as well as an observation chamber above the main part of the temple in the middle, allowing his to overlook the entire village and for several miles. The stone that he had built it now had special white paint on them that would never fade away. It was just like the temple on Coruscant, except there were 6 towers that showed signs of his devotion not to the light side or the dark side of the Force, but the Force itself. His whisker marks on his face were now finer and nearly non-existent, as his hair was now longer and went to middle of his back. His cloths were now a black body armor similar to his mother's that he modified over it that stuck to his body like spandex. Over it he wore a black fishnet shirt with a pair of black pants and a white cloak over it. He opened his eyes and they were now a more violet color than they used to be, and he got so today's the day we return mother. Kushina said yes my son. Today is the day we put our plan into action. Naruto smiled and said yes mother, today is the day we begin our new empire. Today the people of this world meet their future master. As his eyes flashed red a moment before flashing gold, and then back to his violet color. Kushina smiled and God, even I admit I feared he was going to the dark side for a while, but now I see that he's not light or dark but a gray master of both, just like his mother, without losing himself like I did. Thank God we found out time moved slower in here so he could gain years of knowledge while he slept. His connection to the Force is as good as mine or better. Naruto stood up and walked out of his meditation room in the observation tower, and a stone slab slid down covering the door to the chamber as he began walking down a set of stairs. As he left the stairs another stone slab lifted, and as he walked out it slid back into place, and he smirked and got my chamber of solace. No one will be able to attack me there or bother me. As he walked through the temple and toward the gate, and he waved his hand and the lock on the gate unlocked. Kurenai was walking beside the heiress to the Hyuga clan, Hinata Hyuga, who was on her way to the academy today, when she heard the gate lock click and the gate open, and her eyes went wide when a young teen stepped out of a gate, and she stood in front of Hinata and said, "Who are you?" The person looked at her and said, "Namikaze Naruto." As he turned and began walking down the path, Kurenai looked at him and then looked at the gate and thought, so he's the person who lives in the white sand. I had heard rumors someone lived there and I saw that it changed from when I was younger, but I got since nothing new has appeared in 2 years that he died. After Naruto was gone, Hinata asked Kurenai, "Who was that?" in a stutter. Note: if Hinata is talking until I say otherwise, it is a stutter. I won't repeat that over and over, and she gives me a headache talking. Kurenai looked at Hinata and said, "I am not sure." "Why?" Hinata said, "Sorry, he looked almost my age." Kurenai said, "Well, come on. I don't want you to be late." as they both began to walk again. As Naruto was walking down the street, he was getting strange looks from people, and he ignored them and walked toward the Hokage Tower. As he was walking, someone landed near him, and he saw it was Kakashi, and said, "Hello Kakashi. Been a while." Kakashi said, "Yes, it has, Naruto, about 4 months I believe. How are you?" Naruto said, "Good. On my way to see the Hokage about joining the academy." Kakashi nods, "And I like the way you have changed your home, Naruto. It looks like a palace in a way. It even has a nickname as the White Sand because of the beach crest on your family estate." Naruto stopped and looked at Kakashi, who said, surprised, "The Sandime revealed your heritage. It caused a massive uproar in the village. It nearly caused a civil war, in fact." Naruto asked why. "I mean, what forced him to finally tell, and why did it almost go to war?" Kakashi said, "Well, it happened right after the Uchiha massacre. Itachi, the heir to the Uchiha clan, killed his entire clan except for his younger brother Sasuke. Konoha was in a state of depression, and nobody knew what to think, so." Flashback. Inside the council chamber, a civilian said, "This is a disaster. With the Uchiha clan gone, Konoha has lost its sword. They have always been our attack clan, and the Hyuga clan has always been our shield clan, providing protection for us. What are we to do?" Inoichi said, "This is bad. Iwa might attack us if they find out, or Cloud. Both countries have not liked us in years, and have been waiting for a chance to get even." The Sandaime Hokage sat in his chair in front of the council, and he was rubbing his temples, and he heard everyone complaining, and a civilian said, "If only the yellow flash was still alive. He would make them fear us." The Sandaime mumbled to Bad, "His son not ready." Tsume cut her eyes at him as she heard this, and said, "What do you mean, his son, Hokage-sama?" The third looked up and looked at her and said, "What?" Tsume said, "You just said to Bad his son not ready yet. What do you mean, his son?" Everyone was looking at the Sandaime. "Got shit. I said that out loud." And Hayashi said, "So he was telling the truth then? Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze is the son of Minato Namikaze." Several people's eyes got wide, and a civilian said, "No, it can't be. The Yondaime would never sacrifice his own son to seal a demon." The Sandaime said, "That's exactly what he did. Why is it so hard to believe the Yondaime would sacrifice his own son, then ask someone else to sacrifice their child? That everyone in this village has forced his son to live in complete solitude away from the village because of the abuse." Everyone was deep in thought, and Tsume said, "What did you mean when you said he wasn't ready, Hokage-sama? What kind of a difference would he make?" The Sandaime frowned and said, "Simple. When Naruto moved into his family home, he found the secret to both his father's jutsu, the Hirishin and the Rasengan. Danzo said we must get him to give us those secrets. We could create an army of yellow flashes to stop our enemy." The Sandaime snorts and said he would kill anyone who even tried to get them. A civilian said, "Like he could. The Sandaime said he put 4 of my Anbu in the hospital in less than a second 3 years ago. He's only gotten stronger since, and that was only using his mother's style. She's been training him since he's 4. Everyone's eyes got wide, and Hayashi said, "The Yondaime's wife is alive." The Sandaime nods and said, "Yes." Danzo said, "You lie. The doctor who delivered him said she would be dead within an hour after birth." The Sandaime glanced at Danzo and said, "True, Danzo, but neither the doctor or I knew that Kushina knew a kinjutsu that would save her life, but from what I can tell it put her in some kind of medical condition that prevented her from returning until Naruto was 4. Though how did you know, Danzo?" Minato and I both ordered not only Naruto parentage secret to protect him, so how could you have known about her condition? Danzo said, I do my homework. There has only been one other Uzumaki in this village. A former ninja of Whirlpool Country until it was destroyed. Hiashi said, Hokage-sama. What shall we do about the current problem though? I mean, true, the disturbing news about the Yondium's son is a problem we should deal with, but as you said, he's not ready, so what are we to do now? End flashback. Kakashi said after that a lot of council member went to get drunk, and when people get drunk they talk, and by the next evening word of your parents finally made it around the whole village. Naruto nods and said, so how have you been? Kakashi said, all right. I stopped spending so much time in front of the memorial stone. Naruto asked why. Kakashi said, I got about what you said back when we first met. I went around the village in a henge of you on several occasions, and I did not like what I saw. I then went to the memorial stone to think, and your words rang in my mind, and I decided Obito would not like me mourning him the way I did. I like the idea you have by becoming something for your parents. In fact, it should be happening right about now. Just then several explosions went off on top of the Hokage monument, and Naruto looked at the Hokage monument and blinked before bursting out laughing, and he held his side and said, I can't believe you did that. Kakashi smiled, and a scream of Kakashi rang throughout the village, and Kakashi took off running, and Naruto looked one more time as the Yondaime face had been covered with female versions of each of the Hokages. Just then several Anbu appeared and began chasing Kakashi, and one in a bear mask said, what happened to you, senpai? Why have you become a pranking monster? As he chased after them. Naruto smiled for several minutes and thought, okay mom, I think Kakashi might have seen the light. Kushina was sweat-dripping as she looked at Minato, and thought, what the hell, he looks better as a woman than I do. Naruto continued on his way to the Hokage office, and when he got there he saw the same secretary, and he waved his hand, not even bothering with her, and she never looked up, and he walked to the door and opened it. When Naruto opened the door, Kakashi was there with 4 Anbu holding him in a straitjacket with poles holding the jacket, and he said, did I come at a bad time? The third, who was glaring at Kakashi, turned to Naruto, and his eyes went wide a moment, and said, no, come on in. Anbu, take Kakashi to Ibiki and tell him to hold him with no Ika paradise for 48 hours. Kakashi screamed, no my precious. As they all 5 left in a puff of smoke. Once they were gone, Naruto sat down, and the third said, I see you look a lot like your father. Naruto said, I heard you slipped to the council about my parentage. The third nodded, and Naruto said, so where does that put me exactly? I mean, besides basically stealing my family land, where am I at? The third sighed and reached into his drawer and pulled out a folder and flipped through it until he found what he was looking for, and he said, this is yours. I know I kept your money all the times you asked for it, but I used them to buy the items you requested. As he hands a sheet of paper to Naruto. Naruto read. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. Born October 10th. Hair blonde. Eyes blue. Distinguishing characteristics. Whiskers on each cheek. Naruto nodded, and said, I understand, and that is acceptable. I figured that out already, but I wish you would have told me before. The third said, I wanted to make amends for the past, Naruto. I realized that you were right. I was making things worse for you. I guess the old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, is true. I knew if you were to get your money, then odds are I would never get a chance to talk to you. Naruto sighed, and said the past is the past. I just want to complete my goals in life. In fact, that is why I am here today. I wish to enter the academy. The third frowned, and said that's going to be hard. You're way too old to put in the beginning class, and I don't know if you're good enough to be in the graduating class, so that leaves you with two classes you could be in. One would be the class around your age, but the truth is it's mostly made of civilian students from civilian family or orphans from the Kyobi attack. If you were put in that class, odds are nearly every student would either quit or would use every chance they could to get you kicked out. Naruto said, and what about the other class? The third said, well, the other class is those who are about a year younger than you. There are actually more students in this class than normal because after wars or intense battles the number of pregnant women always increase. As he pulled out his pipe and started to prepare it before lighting it, Kushina said it's because of the rush. After surviving a hard battle, everyone always has a rush they want to burn off, and the only way to do so is usually getting into another hard battle which will get you killed or have lots and lots of, and it don't matter if you're male or female. Everyone gets them. In a dreamy voice, Naruto's sweat dripped, and the third took the pipe out of his mouth and said, now as you can guess, most of the children from this bunch come from ninja family. Most of them the heirs of their respective clans, so the fame thing of being the Yondaim's son won't matter much to them since they will realize the pressure you're going to look at. I hate to say this, but after everyone found out about your parentage, everyone also learned of Kyobi, so don't be surprised if people ask. Naruto said, so is that the class you're wanting me to be in? The third sighed and said, how much of those books on the laws of Konoha did you get through, Naruto? Naruto said, all of them. Why? The third said, shortly after your heritage was discovered, the clan started to come to me and ask if you were going to be granted clan rights. Naruto said, because of the fact anyone who becomes a Hokage has their family become a clan. I know that law because I actually wanted to use it later to fulfill my own goal. The third asked, which is? Naruto said, I want to form a clan devoted to the Uzumaki style of fighting. I do not want that knowledge to be lost, so I plan to have several children and train them in it. With clan rights, I get clan protection of my family secrets as well. The third said, well, that's good and bad. I don't know if you know this, but since the Uchiha clan was killed, the civilian has had control of the council. When Sasuke comes of age to take his seat back, it will fall into a tie. With your clan status, you would become the deciding vote. The clans realize this and want to get you on their good side. You must realize that everything you do from this point on can be used politically. Naruto got, you don't know how easy you are making this. And said, I realize that, and I will do what I feel is right. The third nodded and said, so which class do you want to be in? Naruto said, I will take the class with the heirs. At least I will be on even footing then. And got, yeah, right. The third said, very well. Then let's go to the academy. As he got up and Naruto followed, as the third placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder, and both disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Naruto saw what appeared to be a 3-story brick building that he could see from his tower, and he followed the third inside the building, and they made it to the 3rd floor to room 301, and the third knocked on the door. A few moments later, Naruto saw the door opened and a gray-haired Chunin opened the door, and Naruto saw his eyes narrow for a moment, and the third said, Mizuki, I have a new student for you. Mizuki said, welcome, Hokage-sama. As he bowed and stepped aside, Naruto followed after the third walked into the room and Naruto saw Mizuki stick his foot out to trip Naruto and Naruto eyes flashed gold a moment and Mizuki suddenly felt his throat closing and he moved his foot and after Naruto walked by Mizuki suddenly fell to the floor gasping for breath making everyone look at him. A man with a scar on his nose said, "Are you alright, Mizuki?" Mizuki said gasping, "Yeah. I lost my breath a moment." As he slowly stood up, and the third cleared his throat and said, "Hello, Uruka. I have a new student for your class. Allow me to introduce Naruto Namikaze." Everyone's eyes went wide a moment hearing the name and a small eep was heard from the back of the class and Naruto looked and thought, "Hey, that's the girl from this morning." And Uruka said, "Excuse me Hokage-sama, but why is he in this class? He's obvious older than the rest of the students." Naruto stepped forward and said, "Because I asked to be." The third looked at Naruto and said, "Well, I must be going. If you need anything let me know, Naruto." Naruto said, "Yeah, let's keep the same supply setup if you don't mind. It saves me a whole lot of trouble." The third said, "Of course. I will be seeing you later, Naruto." Naruto nods and said, "May the force be with you." As he began walking the stairs toward the top as the third looked at him a moment before leaving in a swirl of leaves. Each of the students looked at him and Uruka said, "Wait, why don't you introduce yourself to the class, Naruto?" Naruto said, "It's a waste of time but fine. The name's Naruto." As he sat down in an empty seat, Uruka said, "And what else? What's your likes, dislikes, dreams?" Naruto began speaking and everyone looked at him and after he got done he said, "Happy." Uruka was confused and asked, "What did you say?" Naruto sighed and said, "I just told you what my likes, dislike, and dreams are." A girl with blonde hair said, "But I couldn't understand you." Naruto said, "That's because you were not supposed to. To answer your question, I like learning other languages that are not used around here. My mother knows several hundred languages, and I know a little over 34 languages myself." That was Mando, the language of the Mandalorians. Uruka asked who. Naruto said Mandalorians. They were a warrior people who thrived on the thrill of battle. My mother fought against them and nearly exterminated all of their people in battle. Those who are left are scattered to the wind, mostly living as mercenaries now. Uruka said, "Well, can you tell us about you again in our language?" Naruto said, "Not today. We got time to learn about me. I think you might want to move though, Mizuki, or you're going to get hurt." Mizuki said, "Huh." Just then a tile fell from the ceiling and hit him in the head and he screamed in pain and held his hand and a boy with a dog on his head said, "How did you know that?" In shock. Naruto said, "I saw the tile move every time he hit the wall behind him as he tried to get comfortable leaning against the wall. I saw it was ready to fall when I said something." Uruka said, "Mizuki, why don't you go get checked out, and we can begin class?" Mizuki growled, and got up holding his head and left. Naruto got weak-minded fool. I can sense his anger toward me easily. As the first day of school continued for Naruto, it was over the history of the village and Naruto got up and sat down in a lotus position and closed his eyes and Uruka saw this and said, "What are you doing, Naruto?" Naruto said, "Meditation. I can multitask no problem, so go ahead with class. I just find sitting in class listening to the history of the village a little boring. I mean, it seems to me the class is designed to weaken us. I understand the reason for the boring stuff right now is not actually to teach us the history of the village but to learn to stay alert no matter how bored we are, so in case we have to watch a client's house to sneak in and recover a document without being discovered, then we have to stay alert and detect patrols, guards, alarms, and other things that could screw up the mission. I just figured if we are going to be learning that right now, I might as well do something productive that won't interfere with class, like the boy next to the one eating chips right now. If everyone notices, he looks to be asleep, but his breathing never changed once while we were here. He's awake and listening, but he's also doing other stuff like I planned to. Said boy raised his head and raised an eyebrow, and said observant. Name's Shikamaru, you play shogi? Naruto said yeah. You play Dijiric? Shikamaru said huh. Naruto reached into his pocket and pulled out a scroll and bit his thumb before wiping it on a seal, and out popped a white and black circle table, and it activated and several holographic monsters appeared. Shikamaru asked, what is it? Naruto said Dijiric, similar to chess and shogi but uses creatures' attack strength and power instead of direction it can move. Shikamaru eyed the board several seconds, and Iruka said, stop right now both of you. I am not going to let you play games in class. Shikamaru said, roof lunch. Naruto nods and Naruto sealed the game, and both boys closed their eyes at the same time, one to meditate, the other to sleep. Iruka said, wake up and get back in your seat, Naruto. Naruto opened his eyes and said, "Phew, say something." Just then Kakashi bust through the window, still in his straitjacket, and he said, "You never catch me alive." As he ran for the door, 3 teams of women, all in Anbu uniforms without pure mask on, came through the busted window, and Naruto sweat dripped, and one with purple hair said, "Where did that bastard go? I want to see his face." Each of them looked around the class, and Iruka said he left out the door. The women took off after him, and after they were gone, Naruto said, "You can come out now, Kakashi." Just then the flagpole in the corner of the room went up in smoke, and he said, "Damn Ibiki, why did he have to let Inko punish me?" Naruto got up and walked over to Kakashi, and said, "Damn, chakra restraining. I guess henge is all you can do, huh?" Kakashi nods, and Naruto said, "I will get you out of them." Kakashi asked how. "Only the person who put it on can take it off." Naruto said, "Stand still." And before he had a chance to say anything, a snap hiss sound was heard, and a red blur was seen moving around from Naruto to Kakashi, and then the noise was gone as well as the blur, and the straitjacket fell to the floor. Everyone was shocked, and Kakashi asked, "What was that?" Naruto said, "What was what?" Kakashi said, "That red blur." Naruto said, "Oh, that." As he held up his hand, and it was covered in red chakra, and he said, "Chakra strings made from this." As the chakra faded, Kakashi frowned and said, "You shouldn't be using that, Naruto." Naruto said, "It's no different than that, Kakashi." As Naruto hit the height over Kakashi eye and continued, "It's a tool I don't want, but I learned to use to save my comrades." Kakashi sighed and said, "I guess you're right, but be careful." Naruto said, "I am. I only use it for healing and minor things like what I just did, since it's dangerous to everyone but me." "Now you're ruining my class day, and Iruka here is trying to figure out if he should hate me or not because of what I just did, and yes, that was Kyuubi chakra I used." Looking at the other students who were looking at him shocked, Kakashi then tensed as he felt a kunai at his throat, and Anko appeared behind him and said, "Now Kakashi-kun, why don't you show me your blood?" As she went to cut his cheek and moved to lick it when he was covered in smoke, and when the smoke cleared, Iruka was there with the cut, and Anko was licking his blood. Kakashi pulled out his book and looked up and said, "You say something, Anko." As he left with a leaf shushin. Enko growled and took off after him, and Uruka was shocked, and Naruto said, and just think, those people are the ones protecting this village, and most likely be our teachers. Kami, help us. As he walked back to his seat and sat down beside it again to meditate. The rest of the day went off without a hitch, except Uruka was jumping at every noise, and Shikamaru and Naruto had a match of shogi, and then Naruto promised to bring the instruction to Deidara. It has been nearly a month since Naruto started the academy. In that time Naruto had become friends with Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba. Today was Saturday, and Sasuke Uchiha was in his backyard practicing throwing shurikens when a voice said, "You lack hatred and power." Getting his attention, he turned and saw a cloaked figure standing there with yellow eyes and a mask on that hid his face, and Sasuke asked, "Who are you?" and he was cut off as the person held up his hand and lightning flew at him, hitting him and making him scream in pain. The person stopped and said, "Silence, boy. My name is Darth Rasen. I am here to give you power. Power to destroy your brother, power beyond your belief. I am your master, and you will call me as such from now on." Sasuke was still feeling the pain, and he said, "Never. I will never call you master." Through the pain, lightning hit him again, and Rasen said, "You just have to ask, and I shall stop." Several moments later Sasuke said in a pained voice, "Stop, please stop." Rasen asked, "Stop what?" as he continued to hit Sasuke with lightning. Sasuke said, "Please stop, master." Rasen said, Good Sasuke. You will make a great apprentice. You are now mine." Sasuke stood up slowly and then went to throw some shurikens at Rasen, who held his hand up, and Sasuke began to choke as his neck was squeezed, and Rasen said, "Foolish boy. I am more powerful than you can ever imagine. You will do as I say, and how I say do it. In return I shall give you power to avenge your clan. Do you understand?" Sasuke said in gasped breath, "Yes, master." He fell to the floor gasping for breath, and Revan said, "Good Sasuke, good. Now here. This is a gift." As he stabbed something in Sasuke's arm. Sasuke felt better in second and asked, "What was that, master?" As he looked at Rasen. Rasen said, "A small drug that will make your muscles stronger faster, as well as something to make you feel better. Now this is for you." As he held out a small cube. Sasuke took it and asked, "What is this?" Rasen said, "It's a device that will allow me to talk to you and tell you what I want without coming to see you. You will carry it with you at all times and show it to no one. I will appear on it and tell you my bidding. You will do as I say, or I will kill you. You will tell no one about me or about ever meeting me. I can end your life on a whim, and I know everything. I know how strong your brother is. I know where your brother is, and I know how to make you stronger than your brother, but you will follow my orders without questions. Now are you ready to begin your training?" Sasuke said, "Yes, my master." Rasen said, "Good. Here is a scroll with a training schedule on it you will follow daily. Do not sleep at night until it is done. When you are ready I shall deliver your brother to you to be killed. Until then prepare my apprentice. I have only 2 orders for you now. I know of your new student in your class, Namikaze. He is a Jedi. His skills are from a weaker branch of my order. I will teach you to destroy him, but you are not to fight him or challenge him until then. At your current level he will kill you, but soon you will be stronger than him. If you disobey my orders I will kill you. My second order is I wish for you to humiliate the Hyoga heiress Hinata Hyoga. When you have a chance to fight her I want you to hurt her, punish her, destroy her confidence. Every chance you get you are to publicly humiliate her. Use your hatred toward your brother as a fuel to do so, but do not kill her. You will not hurt her either. That will get you killed by the Hyuga clan. I plan for you to show everyone how weak the Hyuga are and the strength of the Uchiha clan. Do you accept my orders? Sasuke said, yes, my master. With a smile on his face. Rasen said, good. Now sleep. As he placed his hand on Sasuke's head, making Sasuke pass out before leaving. When Sasuke woke up, he thought, was that a dream? As he saw the scroll in his hand, he opened it and went wide-eyed and thought, this will make me stronger. As he read, 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 punches with each fist, 100 kicks with each leg, 10 laps around the Uchiha district, 50 bullseyes with both kunes and shurikens. Swim 5 laps across the pond in the Uchiha district. The cube he received came to life and Sasuke saw the figure of Rasen standing there about 6 inches tall, and he said, what do you want? Sasuke suddenly felt his throat being crushed. Ajin and Rasen said, do not speak to me as an equal or with contempt again, boy. You are now mine. Learn your place. I see you have read your scroll, but it's already 3 hours after sunrise. You should have already been training. Failure is not an option. Weakness will not be tolerated. Use your hatred to keep you going. Each time you feel yourself tiring, remember the blood of your family. Now get started before you try my patience. As Sasuke could finally breathe, Sasuke said in gasp breath, yes, master. As he got to work training, Rasen image faded from the cube and Rasen thought, yes, Sasuke, you are now mine. When Monday came around, Naruto was walking toward the academy when he heard the shouts of kids screaming, fight, fight, fight. He walked toward where the circle was and Naruto saw Sasuke being held back by Iruka and Hinata on the ground holding her face crying. He ran over to her and said, Hinata, are you alright? As he pulled her into an embrace. Hinata was crying and Naruto saw everyone looking, and he said, get out of here. Can you see she's hurt? As he locked his eyes on Sasuke and said, what did you do to her? Sasuke stopped trying to get free of Iruka and said that weakling should learn her place, not to try to talk to her betters. As Iruka let go of him, Naruto said, what the hell are you talking about? You weaker than her. Sasuke fed and began to walk away when Iruka started to move toward Hinata and Naruto said, go take care of him. I will help her. As he picked her up bridal style and began carrying her away while she still held her face crying. When they were away, Naruto stopped and sat her against a tree and said in a kind voice, Hinata, that's okay. Let me see your face so I can help you. Hinata did not move her hand and Naruto reached up and pulled her hands away and winced and said, it's okay. I can help. Hinata was scared and Naruto placed his hand over the bruise on her right cheek and started to heal it with a minor healing jutsu he learned from his father's library. Hinata felt the healing jutsu working and then Naruto went to her other cheek and then her nose, and she softly whispered, thank you. After it was done, Naruto said, no problem. Are you okay now? As he pulled out a canteen of water and pulled a handkerchief and poured water on it and began washing the blood from her face. Hinata nods and Naruto stood up and held out his hand and said, come on. Let's get to class. Hopefully they kick Sasuke out of school. Sasuke, after getting yelled at from Iruka, went to the bathroom to wash Hinata blood from her nose off his hands and he heard, good, my apprentice, good. as he looked in his weapons pouch and pulled out the cube. Sasuke said, "Thank you, my master." Rasen said, "Continue with my other orders, but now I have another mission for you. Comrades and friendship are weaknesses, especially your fangirls. You are to point out each of their flaws every time they bother you. Now go. Compassion is for the weak. Use your anger, my apprentice, and become powerful." Sasuke said, "Yes, master," as he shut off the water and left. When Sasuke got back to class, Naruto, who was sitting by Hinata, who was looking down, got up and walked up to Sasuke and grabbed him by his arms and slammed him into the wall, and said, "Don't you ever do that again, asshole." Iruka, who walked in, said, "Naruto, release him." Naruto looked at Iruka and then at Sasuke and slammed Sasuke into the wall again before he let go and walked back up to Hinata. Hinata said quietly, "You didn't have to do that." Naruto said, "I can't stand to see people be hurt like that." Hinata looked away with a small smile on her face as class began. As the day went by, everyone kept glancing at Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata. When lunch came around, Naruto looked at Hinata and said, "Come on, Hinata, come have lunch with me and my friends." Hinata pushed her fingers together and said, "I don't want to intrude." Naruto said, "Nonsense, come on," as he led her to the roof. When they got there, Naruto saw his three friends and said, "Hey guys, I brought someone to join us. I hope you don't mind," motioning toward Hinata. Kiba said, "No man, that's cool." Shikamaru said, "Game, now," as he had a Bedrick board set up. Naruto said, "Still mad I beat you at both games." Shikamaru said nothing and they began their game and ate while Hinata sat quietly watching. The rest of the day was uneventful except every time one of Sasuke fangirls tried to talk to him, he insulted them. After school, Naruto left to head home and Hinata waited until someone came to pick her up. Sasuke saw her and saw there was no one around, so he walked over and said, "You weak little Hyoga. You can't even protect yourself," as he kicked her in the stomach as she was turning around. This was the scene Hiroi Hyoga, a branch member, walked up to, and when he got closer, Sasuke stopped and said, "Pathetic Hyoga, you are weak." Hinata was coughing up blood from the kick as Sasuke walked away and Hiroi asked, "Are you okay, Hinata-sama?" Hinata nods as she slowly gets helped up. Time skip 1 month later. Iruka sighed as he walked into the Hokage office, and the third looked up from his paperwork and said, "Ah, Iruka, what can I do for you today?" Iruka said, "Sir, I am having trouble with a student, and I don't know what to do." The third said, "What is the problem, Iruka, and who is the student?" Iruka said, "It's Sasuke Uchiha, sir. Over the last month he's changed, sir. I mean, he has started fighting Hinata Hyoga every chance he can. It's like he has a feud with her and she's keeps going further and further into her shell because of it, sir. I mean, it's gotten to the point every time he even glances at her she flinches." The third sighed and said, "The Uchiha clan has always had a thing against the Hyoga clan. Apparently Sasuke must be trying to lash out against his clan's rival." As he lit his pipe, Iruka said, "It's not just that, sir. Sasuke's attitude toward the entire class has changed. I mean, he has quit ignoring his fangirls and has actually started to criticize them, and I mean harshly, about every fault they have. The girls, even after they get told off like they are, think it's because he's afraid to get close to someone, so they think it's an emotional defense. He's also started back talking all the teachers in the academy, telling us how weak we are and also telling the other male students as well. I am afraid if something isn't done soon, then someone is going to get hurt or killed, sir." The third sighed and said it's even worse than that, Uruka. Look at these. As he pulled out a folder and handed it to Uruka. Uruka began reading, and went wide-eyed, and said, what is that boy thinking? I mean, no one has ever dared to go into a restaurant to eat, and then tell them when they gave him the bill he was an Uchiha, and does not have to pay. It's not just food. There's also cloths, weapons, bookstore. What is he thinking? The third sighed, and said, I don't know. The council decided to have the owners just send the bills to the council and they would pay for it out of his clan savings plus 10 tip, and everyone seems happy by this, but because the civilians that agreed to it overvoted the clans who said he should be punished because they would never do that. It's all giving me a headache. Uruka asked, what should we do? The third said, there's nothing we really could do right now. I mean, you can get on to him in class and try to keep him away from Hinata, but until he becomes a ninja, I can't punish him since even academy students are considered civilians until they graduate. I can dictate who get in and what is taught, but I can't kick him out because it would cause trouble for the entire village. I wish I could help. Uruka sighed, and said, thank you, sir. I am sorry to bother you. The third said, nonsense, Uruka. I appreciate you telling me of this. If it gets worse, inform me, and I will see what I can do. Uruka sighs and nods before leaving. The third looked out the window and sighed. Heishi Hyoyaga was sitting in his private study when a branch member knocked on his door. Heishi said, enter. The branch member walked in and bowed and said, forgive my intrusion, sir, but there is a visitor at the gates who requests an audience with you and the council. Heishi eyes narrowed and said, who is it? The branch member said, Naruto Namikawa, sir. Heishi eyes went wide a moment, and said, very well. Bring him to the council waiting area while I have them summoned. The branch member quickly left, and Heishi had another branch member notify the council. 5 minutes later, Naruto was standing outside the council chamber of the Hyoyaga clan when the door opened and a branch member said, they will see you now. Naruto nods and walks into the chamber room and saw a table in front of him and one on the left and one on the right, and there was around 13 men in the room, and Naruto walked forward, and then he heard the door to the council chamber close. He stood there for several moments, and Heishi said, well, are you going to inform us why you have come? Naruto said, I was giving proper respect as a guest and waiting until I had permission to speak. I have come to discuss a proposal. Heishi said, what kind of proposal? Naruto said, I am sure you know of my unique status in the village, and the fact of what will happen in just a few years when I come of age. I will automatically be granted clan status due to my father being the Hokage. That is actually one of my goals. I have come here today because of recent events that have been taking place between the Uchiha clan and the Hyoyaga clan. I know there has been history of bad blood between both clans for years. I wish to end this trouble before all of Konoha becomes involved. A council member asked, what do you mean? Naruto said, Sasuke Uchiha attitude from what I have seen is causing a rift to form between the clans of Konoha and the civilian. I have heard talk from store owners about the deal the council has made to fix his trouble with the merchants, but he is becoming a bigger headache than that. I fear that it will only be a matter of time before his attitude will make the civilians of Konoha believe that all clans are like that. Now I am sure that the god of the civilians toward your clan does not bother you, but the fact is he is causing a rift between the other clans as well by his insults and the fact he keeps insulting them. If this keeps, it won't be long until they will turn and start blaming your clan for this because of the fact that his initial attacks were against his clan's rival. They will start believing that the Hyuga clan can't keep their own trouble from spilling into the village, thus making your clan lose political power and weaken all the clans of Konoha. Hayashi said, you seem to have considered this very thoroughly to make such an argument, but I don't see how anything you could propose would be able to help this situation. Naruto said, well, that is where my actual proposal comes in. The main flashpoint has been between Sasuke and your daughter Hinata. I am becoming sick of the Uchiha attitude toward her as well as my other friends among the heirs of rest of the clans, and officially at this moment I can't do much because he says it is a matter between him and the Hyuga every time he attacks Hinata and I step in. I wish to remove Hyuga clan from the equation as well as giving myself a chance to put him in his place. Another council member asked, and how do you wish for us to do that? Naruto pulled out a scroll and opened it and channeled chakra into it, and out popped a chest that he opened, and everyone's eyes went wide at the number of red rubies that were there, and Naruto said, by removing Hinata from the Hyuga clan, and have her move into mine. Everyone's eyes went wide, and Hayashi said, so you wish to marry my daughter? Naruto said no. Everyone blinked, and Hayashi asked, what do you mean no? If you are not wanting to marry my daughter, then why bring out that chest of gems? Naruto said, as I said before, creating a clan is one of my goals, however I am not going to let it take 40 or 50 years for my clan. I have decided that none of the women who will mother my children will in fact be married to me. I do this for several reasons. One is because even though I will be the clan head, should I marry them, they would have legal rights to learn my secret jutsu and skills such as this. As he waved his hand, and Hayashi felt his chair suddenly began to float into the air, and Naruto said, I have heard that the Hokage mentioned how I put 4 of his Anbu in the hospital in less than a second. What I am doing right now is a weaker version of what I did to them. I do not want to teach them about this or the other more powerful things I can do. I want them to only be known by my children, who I will teach my style and skills. As Hayashi was sat back down where he was, Naruto said, I also do not want to learn any of the women who mother my children's skills either. Another reason is because if they do not know how I do it, then they can't be forced to tell others. My final reason for deciding not to marry any of them is because I know that it would cause rivalry between them and possibly destroy my clan from the inside. With no one woman being my first wife, or one I marry sooner than the other, then they cannot hold power over the other woman. That is why I will not marry them. Each of the council members got for several minutes about what Naruto said and what they saw, and Hayashi asked, then if you are not wanting to ask her hand in marriage, yet you claim to want her to be the mother of your children, what exactly are you proposing? Naruto said, I know about the 2 seals my father created for your clan and gave you. The modified cage bird seal as well as the modified marriage seal. What I am proposing is that you declare Hinata Hyuga dead. Hayashi said while raising his voice, you wish me to kill my daughter? Naruto said, only in name. Everyone blinked, and one member asked, what do you mean? Naruto said, I have read all of Konoha laws. In the past, when a member from a clan that was not associated with Konoha fled from their clan and joined Konoha, we would officially declare them dead, and then give them a new name. The Nara clan is one such clan that was created by that. What I am wanting you to do is declare Hinata Hyuga dead. She will forever lose the right to her family name, and then you use the marriage seal my father created to ensure that none of her children will pass on her bloodline, while also making sure no one can learn your family secret by coming for her eyes. I will only agree to that seal alone being on her. Once she is dead, I will offer her the choice of joining my clan with the knowledge she would be one of the mothers of my children. If she accepts, then if the Uchiha attacks her, then he is attacking my clan and I have the right to defend my clan, and then there will be nothing the village council can do against me if I have to hurt the Uchiha. Hayashi said, but why would we do it? I mean, why would we want her dead and kick her out without hurting our clan's image, and what if she does not accept your offer? Naruto then explained his idea of exactly how to pull it off, as well as why. Everyone's eyes were wide, thinking of what they heard, and Naruto said, and as for what will happen if she does not accept my offer, she will then most likely move in with Kurenai and say, after 2 months you claim to have received proof of it being a setup, and take her back, and however I believe she will accept my offer. Hayashi asked, so what exactly is the chest for? Naruto said, it's payment for the loss of one of your family members. Even if she does not accept my offer, you get to keep the jewels, but you can't make a move for 2 months, and you also can never tell anyone about this deal, not even Hinata. If she accepts my offer, I want her to be faithful to my clan, and not hate me later for it. She must believe that it is all real, and she was set up, but nobody believed her. In the end, either way you win by washing your hands of this mess for a while, or permanently you become even richer, and all it would cost you is a little lie and possibly one family member if she does accept my offer. However, if she does, she will be part of my clan. You will never be able to try and force her back. We will draw up a contract that has a blood seal that requires mine, yours, and the Hokage's blood to open it. That will be in his office. He won't know what's in it, and we will tell him it is just a matter of strengthening clan relations, and it's a sign of trust between our clans. That way, if either of us break our word, then both our clans will look bad. You can't blame me for wanting a little protection after all. Hayashi said, you have made a very unique offer, but I would like to ask that we have some time to think this matter over. Naruto said, very well. I knew this would not be an easy decision, and one that would affect your entire clan, which is why I came here today to speak of this. If everyone does agree to this offer and Hinata joins my clan, I will allow you and her sister to visit her after 2 months' time to show her you still care. I would not take her from her family like that. I will return to my home and allow you time to think. I did not attend the academy today because I wished to speak with you without chance Hinata overhearing, in case you turned my proposal down, as well as my previously stated reasons. May the force be with you all. As he sealed the chest and left. After Naruto was gone, Hayashi slumped into his chair and said, that boy is dangerous. A council member asked, what do you mean? Hayashi said, he has us trapped. He knows it. I know it. The political trap he just set for us is more than even Danzo could think of. He knew before he came here today that he had all the cards. Everything he said is true, and because of the Uchiha he is in a position to gain power. Not a lot, but more than he would have as a simple clan head. Another council member asked, how would he gain power? Hayashi said he would gain power by taking her, and after we discarded her he would gain a little respect from those who support Hinata. It's quite brilliant actually. An elder member said, so what should we do? I mean, should we turn down his offer or accept it? Hayashi sighed and closed his eyes to think when a knock was heard on the door to the council chamber, and Hayashi said, enter. A branch member entered and said, "Forgive me, Hyoga-sama, but a message from the Hokage just arrived about Hinata-sama." Each of the council members stiffened at this, and Hayashi asked, "What is it?" The branch member said, "It appears she is in the hospital, sir. She was placed in a spar by the teacher assistant Mizuki against the Uchiha, and weapons were allowed, sir, and the Uchiha used poison weapons, sir. She was taken to the hospital and will make a full recovery in a day or two." Hayashi clenched his fist as blood came out of his hand and said, "Thank you." After he was gone, a council member said, "This is getting us nowhere. This was a direct threat to our clan. I think we should accept Namikaze-san offer. If we don't, we are going to have to make an example out of the Uchiha, which will cost us greatly in the village." Hayashi sighed, and said, "I hate to say it, but I must agree. There is nothing we can do to him, but Naruto can. If he kills the Uchiha, and the civilians want his head, we can take Hinata back in our clan after his death, and say we found out it was him who set up this mess." Each of the members nodded and began planning what to do, and Hayashi left to go check on his daughter. Naruto punched the wall outside the hospital room of Hinata, and got that bastard. How dare he use poison blades on her? Kushina said, "Son, I think you are going to have to put him in his place soon." The third Hokage was sitting in a chair watching Naruto. He had been the one to deliver the message when Naruto was walking out of the Hyoga compound, and Naruto overheard it. He sighed and said, "She's going to be okay, Naruto. I have the best doctor healing her now." Naruto said, "What of the bastard? What's going to happen to him?" The third said, "I have suspended him from the academy for the next month. It's all I can do at the moment." Naruto gritted his teeth and slammed his fist into the wall again, and it cracked, and said, "Damn it. Just 2 minutes. That's all I ask. 2 minutes." Hayashi stepped around the corner and saw Naruto, and the third there, and he said, "Hokage-sama, Naruto-san. What are you both doing here?" Naruto said, "I am here checking on Hinata since I am not allowed to go near the Uchiha at the moment." As he pushed the wall again, and it spiderwebbed. Each of the men were shocked, and a nurse said, "Please stop destroying the hospital." Naruto glared at her and she flinched, and he closed his eyes hearing his mother telling him to calm down, and he sat down into a meditative position, and lightning began to flick off his body for several minutes. Hayashi watched this for several minutes even with his bloodline, and he finally gave up trying to figure it out, and he asked, "So why are you here, Hokage-sama?" The third said, "I was outside your home when Naruto stepped out, and he heard me informing the guards. To make sure he did not kill Sasuke, I am making him stay with me until he calms down, while we check on Hinata." Naruto opened his eyes and darted toward Hinata's room in a blur, and both men looked at each other and then quickly followed him and were shocked when they saw Naruto holding a man by the neck, and Naruto said, "Who are you, and what are you doing in here?" The man tried to get free, and Naruto put more pressure on it, and the man felt spots in his vision, and said, "All right. I will talk." Naruto loosened his hold on the man's neck, and he said, "I was paid to deliver something to her." Naruto asked, "What is it, and who paid you?" The man said, "I don't know his name. Some kid with black hair. He paid me 500.00 to put that package in her room without getting caught." Naruto looked at the package and grabbed it and opened the package and said, "You ever see this kid before?" The man rubbed his neck and said, "No, I'm a freelance. I was coming to see if I can get an odd job from the village as I passed through, and I was talking to the guy at the mission office about getting a job. They didn't have any, so I started to leave when that kid called me over,